Have you ever woken up beside someone you thought you knew, only to realize they've been lying to you all along? This is the story of my life: 12 years of marriage, 2 kids, a home filled with laughter and lies. My name is Emily Dawson, and this is the story of how I discovered that the man I built my life around had already built a secret one without me. It started small: late nights, missed calls, the scent of perfume that wasn't mine. Then Al saw a message pop up on his phone. Last night was perfect. I can't stop thinking about you. My world went silent. Please subscribe and turn on the notification button for more interesting stories. I never thought I'd be the kind of woman who checks her husband's phone. That's what other women did. Insecure women, women in bad marriages, women who didn't trust their partners. I was Emily Dawson, a confident defense attorney in downtown Chicago, married to the love of my life for 12 years. We had 2 beautiful children, a 4-bedroom Victorian in Oak Park, and what everyone, including me, believed was an unshakable foundation. But foundations crack. Sometimes slowly, imperceptibly, until one day you step wrong and fall straight through. It was a Thursday in October when I first felt it, that sick, twisting sensation in my gut that something was fundamentally wrong. Mark had been working late for weeks, his tech startup demanding more and more of his time as they prepared for their Series B funding round. I understood. I'd pulled my own share of all-nighters preparing for trial. Marriage, I'd always believed, was about supporting each other's ambitions. That particular Thursday, I'd left the office early to catch our daughter Ellie's soccer game. She was 10, fierce and determined, with Mark's dark eyes and my stubborn streak. Our son Jake, 8 years old and more interested in his Nintendo Switch than sports, sat beside me on the bleachers, his fingers dancing across the screen. "Mom, can we get pizza after?" he asked without looking up. "Sure, baby. But watch your sister. She's about to score." Ellie did score, a beautiful goal that had me on my feet cheering. I pulled out my phone to text Mark, knowing he'd want to know, even if he couldn't be there. But when I opened our message thread, I saw something that made my blood run cold. The last message wasn't from me. It was from him, sent an hour ago. "Can't wait to see you tonight. Same place." I stared at those words, my mind racing through innocent explanations. A client meeting. A colleague. A friend. But something about the tone, the intimacy of "can't wait," the secrecy of "same place," it felt wrong. I scrolled up through our recent conversations. They were perfunctory, practical. "Need milk. Running late. Ellie has dentist at 4. When had we stopped saying we loved each other? When had our texts become nothing more than household logistics? Mom, did you see?" Ellie was running toward me, her face flushed with victory. I shoved my phone in my pocket and plastered on a smile. "I saw a sweetheart. That was incredible." She hugged me, her soccer jersey damp with sweat, and I held her tight, breathing in the smell of grass and childhood innocence. How could I protect this? How could I protect them? What would you do if you saw that message on your partner's phone? Would you confront them right away, or wait to gather proof? That night, after pizza, pepperoni for Ellie, cheese for Jake, veggie for me, I put the kids to bed and waited. Mark came home at 11:30, smelling of cologne I hadn't bought him and wearing a guilty smile. "Hey babe, sorry I'm so late. The meeting with the investors ran long." "How did it go?" I asked, my voice steady despite my racing heart. "Great, actually. Really great. I think we're going to get the funding." He loosened his tie, a navy silk one I'd given him for his birthday. "How was Ellie's game?" "She scored the winning goal." "That's my girl." He pulled out his phone, presumably to text her a congratulations, and I watched his face carefully. Did it flicker? Did his eyes betray anything? "Mark," I said slowly, "where were you tonight?" "I told you. Meeting with investors." "Where?" He looked up then and I saw it, a flash of something. Fear. Annoyance. The office. Then we went to Gibson's for dinner. "Why?" "Gibson's steakhouse in the Gold Coast. Expensive. The kind of place you take important clients. Or someone you're trying to impress." "No reason. Just wondering." He kissed my forehead, a gesture that once meant everything and now felt hollow. "I'm exhausted. Coming to bed." "In a bit. I have some briefs to review." I listened to him climb the stairs, heard the shower turn on, and sat in our kitchen. The kitchen where we'd danced to Motown on Sunday mornings, where we taught Ellie to make pancakes, where Jake had taken his first steps, and I felt the foundation crack wider. Over the next 2 weeks, I became someone I didn't recognize. I checked his phone when he was in the shower. I looked at our credit card statements. I drove past his office at night. I felt sick with myself, sick with suspicion, sick with the growing certainty that my marriage was a lie. The evidence accumulated like snow before a storm. Charges at hotels in downtown Chicago. Late-night texts he deleted. The smell of unfamiliar perfume. And then the final piece. A receipt from Tiffany & Company for a diamond bracelet I'd never received. One day, I sat in my car outside the courthouse, where I'd just won an acquittal for a client accused of embezzlement, and I cried. Not the dignified tears of a composed attorney, but ugly, gasping sobs that made my whole body shake. How dare he? How dare he take our life, our children's security, our sacred vows, and throw them away for what? An affair? A midlife crisis? I called my best friend, Rachel, who lived in Seattle but had been my roommate at Northwestern Law School. She answered on the first ring. Emily, what's wrong? I couldn't speak for a moment, couldn't find the words. Emily, you're scaring me. Are the kids okay? The kids are fine, I managed. It's Mark. Rachel, I think he's cheating on me. The silence stretched between us, 2,000 miles of fiber optic cable carrying my worst fear. Oh honey, she finally said. Are you sure? I'm sure. What are you going to do? That was the question, wasn't it? What was I going to do? I was Emily Dawson, a woman who made her living arguing for the truth, defending the accused, fighting for justice. But now, faced with my own trial, I had no idea how to proceed. I'm going to find out who she is, I said. And then I'm going to decide. If you told me a month ago that I'd be sitting in my car outside the West Hotel on Lakeshore Drive, watching the entrance like a private investigator in a noir film, I would have laughed. But there I am, parked across the street with a coffee from Starbucks growing cold in my hand, watching for my husband. It was a Friday evening. Mark had texted that he was working late again, wouldn't be home until after midnight. The kids were at my mother's house in Naperville for a sleepover, something I'd arranged specifically for this purpose. I'd told them I had a work event, and Ellie had rolled her eyes with the dramatic flair only a 10-year-old could muster. You and Dad are always working, she'd said. I know, baby. I'm sorry. I'll make it up to you. But how could I make it up to them if their family was falling apart? I'd found the hotel reservation on our shared credit card. A junior suite booked under Mark's name. When I'd called the hotel pretending to be his assistant, they'd confirmed, Mr. Dawson checking in at 7 p.m., checking out Saturday morning. At 7:15 I saw him. He got out of an Uber, not driving his own car, I noted, because that would leave a trail, carrying a small overnight bag. He was wearing jeans and a black sweater, casual, not his work clothes. He looked good. Damn him, he looked good. He walked into the hotel and I waited. My plan was simple. Follow him, confront him, get the truth. I'd imagined this moment 100 times, rehearsed what I'd say, how I'd maintain my composure. I was a trial attorney. I knew how to control a room, how to ask questions that exposed lies. But at 7:30, when a woman walked into the hotel, I felt all my rehearsed composure evaporate. She was young, late 20s, maybe 30. Blonde, tall, dressed in a designer coat that probably cost what we spent on groceries in a month. She carried herself with the confidence of someone who'd never been rejected, never been told no. She was beautiful in that polished Instagram filter way that made me acutely aware of the gray hairs I'd started finding, the lines around my eyes that deepened when I smiled. I sat in my car and felt something crack inside me. Not just my marriage but my sense of self. I was 41 years old and I suddenly felt ancient. My phone rang. Wait, where are you? She asked. Outside the hotel. Emily, come on. You don't need to do this to yourself. I saw her, Rachel. She's young. She's beautiful. She's everything I'm not anymore. Stop it. Stop that right now. You're brilliant and gorgeous and strong, and if Mark is too stupid to see that, it's his loss. Then why do I feel like I'm the one who's lost? Rachel sighed. Because you loved him. Because you built a life with him. Because this hurts like hell and there's no way around that. But Emily, listen to me. You are not going to fall apart. You are not going to let him destroy you. You're going to get out of that car, go home, and tomorrow you're going to figure out your next move. I want to go in there. I want to confront them. I know you do. But think about Ellie and Jake. Think about what you want for them. Do you want them to remember the night their mother stormed into a hotel and made a scene? Or do you want to handle this with the dignity and strength you show in every courtroom? I closed my eyes. He was right. I hated that she was right, but she was. I'll call you tomorrow, I said. I love you, Emily. Love you too. I drove home in a daze, the city lights of Chicago blurring past my windows. Our house was dark and empty when I arrived. I walked through the rooms where we'd made a life. The living room where we'd watched Mark's beloved Bears lose game after game. The dining room where we'd hosted Thanksgiving for 20 people. The master bedroom where we'd conceived our children. I opened Mark's closet and ran my hands along his clothes. How many of these outfits had he worn to meet her? How many times had he kissed me goodbye, promised he loved me, and then gone straight to her arms? In his nightstand I found the Tiffany box. The bracelet inside was delicate, expensive, engraved with an inscription, "Forever yours, M." Forever. What a joke. I took the bracelet and threw it across the room, watching it hit the wall and fall to the floor. Then I sank onto our bed, and let myself cry again. But this time mixed with the grief was something else. Anger. White-hot, clarifying anger. Mark Dawson had made a choice. He'd chosen to betray me, to risk our family, to throw away 12 years for a blonde in a hotel room. Well, I could make choices too. I picked up my phone and called the one person I knew could help me. David Chin, a divorce attorney in my firm who'd handled some of the most contentious divorces in Illinois. We'd worked together on cases, grabbed lunch occasionally, and I trusted his discretion. Emily? It's almost midnight. Everything okay? David, I need your help. I need to file for divorce. I didn't confront Mark that weekend. I didn't scream or throw his clothes out the window or do any of the dramatic things I'd imagined. Instead, I called David on Monday morning, met with him that afternoon, and began the careful, methodical process of protecting myself and my children. You need to document everything, David said, sitting across from me in his corner office overlooking the Chicago River. Every text, every receipt, every suspicious behavior. Illinois is a no-fault state, but evidence of adultery can affect property division and custody. He's a good father, I heard myself say. Whatever else he is, he loves Ellie and Jake. David gave me a sympathetic look. That's good, Emily. It means we can probably avoid a custody battle. But you still need to protect yourself financially. Does Mark know you're here? No. I haven't said anything. Good. Here's what we're going to do. Over the next 2 weeks, I became intimately familiar with Illinois divorce law. I learned about marital property, child support calculations, maintenance payments. I opened a separate bank account and transferred half our savings. I documented Mark's infidelity, taking screenshots, photographing receipts, building a case the way I would for any client. And through it all I pretended. I kissed Mark goodbye in the mornings, asked about his day at dinner, made love to him when he initiated it, though each time felt like a small death. A betrayal of myself. Ellie and Jake noticed nothing, or if they did, they didn't say. They remained wrapped in the protective cocoon of childhood, where parents were eternal and infallible. Do you think silence is strength, or is it surrender when someone betrays you? On a cold November evening, exactly 3 weeks after I'd first seen that text, I decided it was time. The kids were at a birthday party, an overnight event at a friend's house in Evanston. Mark and I were alone. He was in the living room watching a game, drinking a beer. It was such a normal scene, so utterly mundane, that it made what I was about to do feel surreal. Mark, I said, standing in the doorway. We need to talk. He looked up, something in my tone making him reach for the remote and mute the TV. What's wrong? I walked into the room and sat in the chair across from him, not the couch where I usually curled up against him. The physical distance felt intentional, necessary. I know about the affair. The color drained from his face. For a moment he looked like he might deny it, and I saw his mind working, calculating. But then his shoulders sagged. Emily. Don't, I said, holding up my hand. Don't insult me by lying. I know about the hotel rooms. I know about the bracelet. Saw her, Mark. I sat outside the W Hotel and watched you both walk inside. Jesus. He put his face in his hands. Emily, I'm so sorry. God, I'm so sorry. How long? What? How long have you been sleeping with her? He was silent for a long moment. 6 months. 6 months. Half a year of lies, of betrayal, of him coming home and kissing me while her perfume was still on his skin. I felt nauseated. Who is she? Her name is Vanessa. She works in marketing at the firm we contracted for the launch campaign. Of course. The startup that had been consuming all his time, the excuse for every late night and weekend absence. It was almost cliché. Do you love her? I asked, and I was surprised by how steady my voice was. Mark looked up at me, his eyes red. I don't know. Maybe. I'm confused, Emily. I'm so confused. You're confused, I repeated flatly. You're confused. Well, let me help clear things up for you, Mark. I've filed for divorce. The papers will be served to you tomorrow at your office. What? Emily, no. We can work this out. We can go to counseling. Please. Counseling? I laughed, a bitter sound. You want to go to counseling? You've been fucking someone else for 6 months and you want to go to counseling? I made a mistake. A terrible mistake. But we have 12 years together, Emily. We have children. Doesn't that mean anything? I stood up, trembling now with the force of my anger. Don't you dare use our children as an excuse. You're the one who put them at risk. You're the one who destroyed this family. Not me. You. I love you, he said desperately. I still love you. No, you don't. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. If you loved me, you would have talked to me when things got hard, when you started feeling whatever it is you're feeling. You would have given me a chance to fix it. But you didn't. You chose her. It wasn't about choosing. Yes, it was. I was shouting now, all my courtroom composure shattered. Every time you lied to me, every time you touched her, every time you took our money and spent it on her, you were choosing. You chose her over me, over Ellie, over Jake, over everything we built together. Mark was crying now openly, and part of me, the part that had loved him for 14 years, that had built a life with him, wanted to comfort him. But the stronger part, the part that was just learning to be angry, to demand respect, refused to move. I want you out of this house by the end of the week, I said. My attorney will be in touch about custody arrangements. We'll try to keep things amicable for the kids' sake, but Mark? If you fight me on this, if you make this harder than it needs to be, I will bury you. I am very, very good at what I do, and I have an ironclad case. Do you understand? He nodded, looking broken. If someone betrayed you after years of sacrifice, could you ever forgive them? I left him there in the living room and went upstairs to our bedroom. My bedroom now. I locked the door and sat on the edge of the bed, shaking. I'd done it. I'd confronted him. I'd stood up for myself. So why did I feel so empty? The next 3 months were a blur of lawyer meetings, mediation sessions, and carefully maintained normalcy for Ellie and Jake. We told them together, Mark and I, sitting them down in the living room on a gray December afternoon. Your father and I have decided to live separately, I said, holding Ellie's hand. Jake sat pressed against my other side, his small body tense. We both love you very much, and that will never change. But sometimes, grown-ups realize that they're better as friends than as married people. Are you getting divorced? Ellie asked. She was too smart, too perceptive. Yes, sweetheart. We are. Is it because of Dad's girlfriend? The question hung in the air like a bomb. Mark's face went white. I felt my carefully constructed composure crack. What? I managed. I heard you guys fighting. Last week. You said Dad had a girlfriend. Of course. Children were always listening, always absorbing, even when you thought they were safe in their rooms, insulated from adult problems. Ellie, Mark started. It's okay, Dad, she said, and the maturity in her voice broke my heart. Lily Parker's parents got divorced last year because her dad had a girlfriend. She said it was really sad at first, but now she has 2 bedrooms and gets twice as many Christmas presents. Jake started to cry. I don't want 2 Christmases. I want 1 Christmas with everyone. I pulled him onto my lap. This boy who was still so young still believed the world was safe. I know, baby. I know. But sometimes things change and we have to be brave. That night, after Mark left for the apartment he'd rented in Lincoln Park, after I'd tucked the kids into bed with extra stories and reassurances, I opened a bottle of wine and called Rachel. How did it go? She asked. Ellie knew. She heard us fighting. She knew about the affair. Oh, Emily. I'm destroying their childhood, Rachel. I'm destroying everything. No, you're not. Mark did that when he made the choice to cheat. You're just cleaning up the mess. But it didn't feel like cleaning up. It felt like demolition. Christmas was a nightmare of forced cheerfulness and separate celebrations. Ellie and Jake spent Christmas Eve with me, Christmas Day with Mark, and I assumed Vanessa, though he swore they were taking things slow, that he wasn't introducing her to the kids yet. New Year's came and went in a fog of champagne and sadness. In January I threw myself into work. I took on more cases, stayed at the office later, built walls around myself with briefs and depositions and trials. My partners noticed. My secretary Linda, a grandmother of 5 who'd been with me for 8 years, brought me lunch one day and closed the door. "Emily, honey, you need to take care of yourself. I'm fine, Linda. You've lost weight. You're here until 10 every night. When was the last time you did something just for you?" I couldn't remember. Every moment was about surviving, about being strong for Ellie and Jake, about proving to everyone, and myself, that I was fine, that Mark hadn't broken me. "I'm handling it," I said. Linda gave me a look. "You're not handling it. You're drowning in it. There's a difference." She was right, of course. I was drowning. I was treading water in an ocean of grief and anger and betrayal, and I was so tired. That night I did something I hadn't done since college. I went to a bar alone. Not one of the trendy places in River North where I might run into colleagues, but a dive bar in Wicker Park, dark and anonymous. I sat at the bar and ordered a whiskey neat the way my father used to drink it. "Rough day?" the bartender asked. He was older, maybe 60, with kind eyes. "Rough life," I said. He laughed. "Well, you've come to the right place. That's what we specialize in here, rough lives and good whiskey." I smiled despite myself. "I'm Emily." "Frank. Nice to meet you, Emily." Over the next few hours Frank poured drinks and listened as I talked. I told him about Mark, about the divorce, about how I felt like I was failing my children. I told him about the loneliness, the anger, the sense that everything I'd built had been a lie. "Can I tell you something?" Frank said, refilling my glass. "My wife left me 15 years ago. Ran off with her yoga instructor. Cliché, right? I was devastated. Thought I'd never recover. Spent about a year feeling sorry for myself, drinking too much, pushing everyone away. What changed? My daughter. She was about your Ellie's age. She came to me one day and said, 'Dad, I miss Happy You.' And I realized that by wallowing in what I'd lost, I was losing even more. I was losing the present. I was losing her. I felt tears welling up. I don't know how to be happy anymore." "You learn," Frank said gently. "One day at a time. One moment at a time. You won't believe me now, but someday you'll look back on this and realize it wasn't an ending. It was a beginning." By March we'd finalized the divorce settlement. Mark got the kids every other weekend and Wednesday nights. I got the house, primary custody, and a generous support agreement. David had done an excellent job, and Mark's attorney had advised him not to fight. The evidence of infidelity was too strong, and Illinois courts didn't look kindly on it, no matter what the no-fault statute said. I signed the papers in David's office, my hands steady. Mark signed them at his attorney's office across town. Just like that, 12 years of marriage ended with signatures and notary stamps. "How do you feel?" David asked. "Free," I said, and I was surprised to realize I meant it. That weekend was my weekend with Ellie and Jake. I picked them up from school on Friday, and instead of going straight home I took them to Millennium Park. It was one of those perfect Chicago spring days, the air warm enough that we didn't need heavy coats, the city shaking off winter's gloom. We went to Cloud Gate, the Bean, and took silly photos of our reflections distorted in the mirror-like surface. We got ice cream from a vendor even though it was barely 60 degrees. We walked along the lakefront and Ellie ran ahead, her hair flying in the wind, while Jake held my hand. "Mom," he said. "Yeah, buddy. Are you sad about Dad?" I looked down at my son, this beautiful boy with his father's eyes and my tendency to overthink everything. "Sometimes," I said honestly. "It's okay to be sad about things that change even when the change is necessary. But you know what? I'm also happy." "Why?" "Because I have you and Ellie. Because it's a beautiful day. Because we're eating ice cream in March. Because there are still so many good things in the world." He thought about this, his 8-year-old mind processing. "I think Dad is sad." "He probably is. That's okay. People can be sad and still be okay." That night, after the kids were in bed, I did something I hadn't done in months. I ran a bath, really ran it, with bubbles and candles and a glass of wine. I sank into the hot water and let myself relax, let the tension drain from my shoulders. My phone rang. "Wait." "Hey," I answered, putting her on speaker. Hey yourself. How are you? Good actually. Really good. We had a nice day. Emily Dawson, are you healing? I laughed. Maybe. A little. Sweared Ratch. I thought I'd feel devastated after the divorce was final. But instead I feel lighter. Like I can breathe again. That's wonderful. I'm so proud of you. I've been thinking, I said slowly. About Frank. The bartender? Yeah. He said something to me. He said this wasn't an ending, it was a beginning. And I think he was right. For the first time in my life I get to figure out who I am outside of being someone's wife. Who are you? Rachel asked. I don't know yet. But I'm excited to find out. Over the next few months I started to build a new life. I joined a book club with other women from Oak Park. I started taking yoga classes. Yes, I saw the irony given Frank's story, but I needed the peace it brought. I got highlights in my hair, bought new clothes, took Ellie and Jake on a weekend trip to Milwaukee just because we could. I also started therapy. Dr. Patricia Morrison's office was in downtown Evanston, a calm space filled with plants and soft lighting. Twice a week I sat on her couch and worked through my anger, my grief, my sense of betrayal. You trusted him completely, Dr. Morrison said during one session. And he violated that trust. It's normal to feel like you can't trust anyone anymore. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do this again, I admitted. Date, fall in love, get married. What if I'm too damaged? Emily, you're not damaged. You're wounded. There's a difference. Wounds heal. And when they do, you'll be stronger for having survived them. I wanted to believe her. In May, something unexpected happened. I was at Ellie's school for a parent-teacher conference. She was doing well, her teacher assured me, though she seemed quieter since the divorce. When I ran into another parent I vaguely recognized. His name was Daniel Foster and his daughter Sophia was in Ellie's class. Emily Dawson, right? He said, extending his hand. We met at the fall festival. Right, yes. We chatted for a few minutes about our kids, about the school, about the weather. He was easy to talk to, funny, with warm brown eyes and a self-deprecating sense of humor. As we were leaving, he hesitated. This might be forward, but would you want to get coffee sometime? There's a great place on Marion Street. I froze. A date. He was asking me on a date. My immediate instinct was to say no, to retreat into the safety of my solitude. But then I thought about Frank's words about beginnings. I'd like that, I heard myself say. The coffee date was nice. We talked about our kids, about single parenting, he'd been divorced for 3 years, about books and movies and the challenges of finding good pizza in Oak Park. He didn't try to kiss me, didn't push for anything more. He just walked me to my car and said he'd like to see me again. I'd like that too, I said. I didn't tell anyone about Daniel at first, not even Rachel. Felt too new, too fragile. I went on a second date, then a third. He was patient, understanding when I said I needed to take things slow. He made me laugh. He treated Ellie and Jake with kindness when we eventually did a group outing. Miniature golf in Naperville, carefully casual. He's nice, Ellie said afterward. But he's not Dad. No, he's not, I agreed. Is that okay? He thought about it. Yeah. I think it is. It was June, nearly a year after I'd first discovered Mark's affair, when everything came full circle. I was in my office preparing for a trial when Linda buzzed me. Emily, there's someone here to see you. She says it's important. I don't have any appointments scheduled. I know. But I think you'll want to see her. Confused, I told Linda to send her in. The woman who walked through my door was the last person I expected. Vanessa. She looked different than she had outside the hotel. Smaller somehow. Tired. She wore jeans and a simple blouse, her blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail. I'm sorry to bother you, she said, her voice shaking. I know you have no reason to want to see me. But I needed to talk to you. I gestured to a chair, my mind racing. Okay. She sat down, clutching her purse like a lifeline. I wanted to apologize. For the affair. For what I did to your family. I know it doesn't mean anything now, but I need you to know that I'm sorry. I studied her. She looked genuinely distressed, genuinely remorseful. But I felt nothing, no anger, no jealousy. Just a distant curiosity. Why are you here, Vanessa? Because Mark and I broke up. 2 months ago. And I realized what I'd done. Who I'd hurt. I convinced myself it was love, that what we had was special. But it wasn't. It was just selfish. Destructive. Why are you telling me this? She looked up at me, tears in her eyes. Because you deserved better. Because I was complicit in hurting you and I need to own that. And because I hope someday you can forgive me. Not for my sake, for yours. I don't want you to carry this anger forever. I stood up and walked to the window looking out at the Chicago River below. A year ago I would have wanted to scream at her, to make her feel even a fraction of the pain she'd caused. But now I just felt tired. I do forgive you, I said, surprising myself. Not because you deserve it but because Dr. Morrison was right. I don't want to carry this anger anymore. It's too heavy. Vanessa stood up. Thank you. And Emily? For what it's worth, Mark talked about you constantly. He loved you. I think he still does. That's not love, I said. Love doesn't destroy. Love doesn't betray. What Mark felt was guilt and regret, not love. After she left, I sat at my desk for a long time thinking about the past year. About the woman I'd been. The woman who checked her husband's phone, who staked out hotels, who cried herself to sleep. And about the woman I'd become. Stronger, wiser, more certain of who I was and what I deserved. That night, Daniel came over for dinner. We cooked together. Pasta and salad, nothing fancy, while Ellie and Jake did homework at the dining room table. It was domestic and easy, and it felt like a life I could build. After dinner, after the kids had gone upstairs to play video games, Daniel and I sat on the porch with glasses of wine, watching the sun set over Oak Park. I met Mark's mistress today, I said. Daniel nearly choked on his wine. What? I told him about Vanessa's visit, about her apology. The weird thing is, I think it helped. Seeing her not as this perfect, threatening figure, but as a person who made mistakes and is dealing with the consequences. It made it easier to let go. Are you letting go? I think so. It's not about forgiving him or her. It's about not letting what happened define the rest of my life. Does that make sense? It makes perfect sense. He took my hand. You're pretty incredible, you know that? I leaned my head on his shoulder. I'm learning to be. By the time fall came around again, a full year since that first suspicious text, I had built something new. Not a perfect life, not a life without scars, but a life that was mine. Ellie started middle school, navigating the treacherous waters of adolescence with Mark's determination and my pragmatism. Jake joined the school soccer team, discovering an athletic side neither of us knew he had. They split their time between my house and Mark's apartment, and while it wasn't always easy, we made it work. Mark and I developed a cordial co-parenting relationship. We texted about schedules and school events, attended parent-teacher conferences together, even managed polite conversation at Ellie's volleyball games. He was dating someone new, not Vanessa, a woman named Jennifer who worked in his office. I didn't ask questions. It wasn't my business anymore. As for me, Daniel and I had been dating for 6 months. It was different from what I'd had with Mark. Less intense maybe, but steadier. More honest. We talked about our fears, our pasts, our hopes. He didn't pressure me to move faster than I was ready for. He respected my boundaries, my need to protect my children, my wariness about marriage. I'm not looking to replace Mark, he told me once. I'm just hoping to be part of your future. In October, on the anniversary of that first text message that had shattered my world, I did something symbolic. I took off my wedding ring. I'd been wearing it on a chain around my neck, unable to fully let it go, and I put it in a box with other mementos from my marriage. Photos, love letters, ticket stubs from our honeymoon in Maui. Then I put the box in the back of my closet. Are you sure? Rachel asked. She'd flown in from Seattle for the weekend, her first visit since the divorce was finalized. I'm sure. It's not about erasing the past. It's about making room for the future. We were sitting in my kitchen, the kitchen that was fully mine now, drinking coffee and eating the croissants Rachel had brought from a bakery in Wicker Park. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't found out? She asked. Sometimes. Maybe Mark would have ended it eventually. Maybe we would have gone on for years, me never knowing. But honestly, I'm glad I found out. Because even though it hurt, God, it hurt, it forced me to become the person I was always meant to be. Who is that? I smiled. Someone who doesn't settle. Someone who knows her worth. Someone who can stand on her own. That afternoon I did something else I'd been putting off. I drove to Mark's apartment in Lincoln Park, a modern high-rise with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. He'd invited me to pick up some of Ellie's things she'd left there, but really I think we both knew this was about something else. He answered the door looking older than I remembered. There were lines around his eyes, gray threading through his hair. He looked like a man who'd made a terrible mistake and was still paying for it. "Hi," he said. "Komein." The apartment was nice. Masculine, minimal, clearly the domain of someone starting over. I saw a photo of the kids on the bookshelf, a tie draped over a chair. Evidence of a life being rebuilt, piece by piece. "Ellie's stuff is in her room," he said. "I'll get it." "Wait," I said. "Can we talk? Just for a minute." He looked surprised but nodded. We sat on his couch, an uncomfortable distance between us, and I took a deep breath. "I wanted to tell you that I forgive you." Mark's eyes widened. "Emily. Let me finish. I forgive you not because what you did was okay, it wasn't, but because I need to. For me. I can't move forward while I'm still holding on to all this anger and resentment. It's like carrying around a backpack full of rocks. I'm tired, Mark. I'm ready to put it down." He was crying now openly. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I destroyed the best thing in my life. I hurt you and the kids, and there's not a day that goes by that I don't regret it. I know you do. And I believe that you're sorry. But Mark, you need to understand something. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean we can go back to what we were. That marriage is over and it needed to end." "I know." He wiped his eyes. "Are you happy? With him, with Daniel?" "I'm happy with me. Daniel is part of that, but he's not the reason. I learned something this past year. I learned that I don't need someone else to complete me. I was always complete. I just forgot that for a while." Mark nodded. "You're amazing, you know that? The way you've handled all this, the way you've been with the kids. You're so much stronger than I ever was." "No, I'm just honest. That's the difference between us, Mark. When things got hard, when you were unhappy or confused or feeling like something was missing, you lied. You hid. You looked for the answer in someone else's bed. But I faced it. I did the hard work of figuring out who I was and what I wanted. That's not strength. That's just being willing to be uncomfortable for a while." We talked for another hour about the kids, about our regrets, about the good times we'd had before everything fell apart. It felt like closure, like the final chapter of a book I'd been reading for 12 years. When I left, I felt lighter. Not happy exactly, but peaceful. The weight I'd been carrying had lifted and I could breathe fully for the first time in a year. November brought cold winds and the first snow of the season. Ellie and Jake built a snowman in the backyard, arguing about where to put the carrot nose, laughing when it fell off. I watched them from the kitchen window and felt a surge of gratitude. We'd survived. More than that, we'd grown. Daniel had started spending more time at the house. Not overnight. I wasn't ready for that, wasn't ready for Ellie and Jake to see me in a relationship that way, but he'd come for dinner, help with homework, play board games with us on Friday nights. Jake adored him. Ellie was more cautious, but I'd catch her smiling at his jokes, asking his opinion on things. "Mom," she said one night after Daniel had gone home, "are you going to marry him?" We were cleaning up the kitchen, loading the dishwasher side by side. "I don't know, honey. Maybe someday." "Why do you ask?" "Because I want you to be happy. But I also don't want things to change again." I dried my hands and turned to face her. This girl who was growing up too fast, who'd been forced to be more mature than any 10-year-old should have to be. "Ellie, come here." I pulled her into a hug. "I need you to understand something. What happened with your dad, that wasn't your fault. None of it was. And whatever happens with me and Daniel or with anyone else, it won't change the most important thing. I love you and Jake more than anything in this world. You two are my priority. Always." "Do you still love Dad?" It was a question I'd been asking myself. I love the man I married. I love the father of my children. But I don't love who he became or what he did. Love isn't just a feeling, Ellie. It's a choice and it's actions. Your dad stopped choosing me a long time before I found out about the affair. He stopped choosing us. But you chose us. I did. And I always will. She hugged me tighter. "I'm glad you left him, Mom. I didn't think I would be, but I am. You're happier now." In December, my firm hosted a holiday party at the Peninsula Hotel. It was one of those lavish affairs with an open bar, a live band, and partners schmoozing with clients. I'd almost skipped it. These events had always been something Mark and I attended together, but Rachel, who was visiting again, convinced me to go. You need to show everyone how fabulous you are, she said, helping me zip up a red dress I'd bought specifically for the occasion. You're Emily Dawson, brilliant attorney and total badass. Own it. I owned it. I walked into that party with my head high, made conversation with partners, laughed at jokes, danced when the band played Motown. I felt alive in a way I hadn't in years. Emily. It was David Chin, my divorce attorney turned friend. You look incredible. Thanks, David. I feel incredible. I wanted to tell you something, he said, pulling me aside. There's a partnership vote coming up in January. The committee wants to nominate you. I stared at him. What? Are you serious? Completely. You've been doing amazing work, taking on the toughest cases, mentoring associates. You deserve this. Partner. It was something I'd wanted for years but had put on hold when Ellie was born, then again with Jake. There was always a reason to wait, to prioritize Mark's career or the kids' needs over my own ambitions. But now. I want it, I said. I really want it. Good. Then it's yours. I called Rachel from the bathroom, giddy with excitement. I'm going to make partner. Oh my God. Emily, that's amazing. I know. I can't believe it. After everything this year, something good is finally happening. Something good? Emily, you've had lots of good things happen. You've rebuilt your entire life. You found yourself again. You're in a healthy relationship. Your kids are thriving. And now this. You didn't just survive this year. You conquered it. He was right. I had. Christmas was different that year. Ellie and Jake spent Christmas morning with me and we opened presents in our pajamas, made pancakes, watched Elf for the 100th time. Then Mark picked them up for Christmas dinner at his place. I'd been dreading the afternoon alone. The first Christmas without my children for the entire day. But Daniel had invited me to his house, where his parents were visiting from Boston. It felt significant meeting his family and I'd almost said no. But Rachel's words echoed in my mind. Something good is happening. Daniel's parents were warm and welcoming. His mother, Barbara, hugged me like she'd known me for years. His father, Tom, insisted I try his famous eggnog. We ate ham and mashed potatoes, played charades and laughed until my sides hurt. Thank you, I told Daniel later as he walked me to my car. It had started snowing again, big fat flakes that caught in his hair. For including me today. For being patient with me. For being you. He kissed me then, soft and sweet, and I let myself sink into it. Let myself feel the possibility of something new, something real. I'm falling in love with you, he said. I know it's fast and I know you've been through hell. But I need you to know. My heart raced. Part of me wanted to run, to protect myself from the vulnerability of loving someone again. But the stronger part, the part that had learned to be brave, spoke up. I'm falling in love with you too. I'm standing in the kitchen of my house in Oak Park. My house, fully and completely mine, making coffee on a Sunday morning in September. The leaves are just starting to turn, painting the neighborhood in shades of gold and crimson. Through the window I can see Ellie and Jake in the backyard, playing fetch with the dog we adopted 6 months ago, a golden retriever named Biscuit who's all enthusiasm and no coordination. Daniel is upstairs, still sleeping. He moved in 3 months ago, after a conversation with Ellie and Jake where they both said they were ready. We're not married. I'm in no rush and he understands that, but we're building something solid. Something honest. My phone buzzes with a text from Mark. He's picking up the kids this afternoon for his weekend. The text is friendly, practical. We've found our rhythm as co-parents. He's still with Jennifer. I hope he's learned from his mistakes, but it's not my problem anymore. I hear footsteps on the stairs and Ellie appears, cheeks flushed from playing outside. Mom, Jake says we can take Biscuit to the dog park before Dad picks us up. Can we? Sure, sweetie. Let me just finish my coffee. She sits at the kitchen table, suddenly serious. Mom, can I ask you something? Always. Are you happy? Like really happy? I look at my daughter, this incredible young woman she's becoming, and I smile. You know what? I really am. Good. Because you deserve it. I pull her into a hug, breathing in her shampoo and sunshine smell. So do you, baby. So do you. Later, after the kids have left with Mark, after Daniel and I have spent the afternoon reading the paper and planning our week, after dinner and dishes and the comfortable quiet of a Sunday evening, I find myself back in the kitchen. I'm making tea, looking out at the darkening sky, when Daniel comes up behind me and wraps his arms around my waist. What are you thinking about? He asks. That text message, I say. The one from Mark 2 years ago. The one that started all of this. Do you wish you'd never seen it? I think about that. About the pain, the anger, the fear. About the divorce and the uncertainty and the long, hard work of rebuilding. But I also think about who I've become. About the partnership I accepted. About the relationship I'm in now, built on honesty and respect. About my children who learned that it's okay to choose yourself, that staying in a broken situation doesn't make you noble. It just makes you stuck. No, I say. I don't wish that. Because if I hadn't seen it, I'd still be living a lie. I'd still be the woman who put everyone else's needs before her own, who didn't know her own strength. That text message didn't destroy my life. It saved it. Daniel kisses my temple. You saved it. You did the hard work. He's right. I did. And I'm proud of that. I finish my tea and turn off the kitchen light, taking Daniel's hand as we head upstairs. Tomorrow I have a deposition at 9, a lunch meeting with a new client at noon, a parent-teacher conference at 3. It's a full life, a good life, a life I've built brick by brick from the rubble of my marriage. As I climb into bed, I think about that woman who sat in her car outside the W Hotel 2 years ago, broken and terrified. I wish I could tell her that she'll survive this. More than survive, she'll thrive. She'll discover that the ending she feared was actually a beginning. That sometimes, the worst thing that ever happens to you becomes the catalyst for the best thing. I reach over and turn off the bedside lamp, and in the darkness I smile. Because I'm not that woman anymore. I'm Emily Dawson, partner at a top Chicago law firm, mother of 2 incredible kids, daughter, friend, lover. I'm someone who knows her worth, who refuses to settle, who understands that love shouldn't hurt and trust shouldn't be blind. I'm someone who learned that you can't control what other people do, you can only control how you respond. That forgiveness is for yourself, not for them. That moving on doesn't mean forgetting. It means refusing to let the past hold you hostage. Most importantly, I'm someone who learned that the weight of silence, the silence of secrets, of lies, of words unsaid, is heavier than the truth no matter how painful. And that when you finally find your voice, when you finally speak your truth and demand what you deserve, the world doesn't end. If this story reminds you of someone, share it with them. Sometimes hearing someone else's pain helps us heal our own. Have you ever met someone who made you believe in peace again? Do you think love can return after heartbreak? Or does it arrive as something new entirely? And tell me, if you could rewrite your past, would you change what happened? Or keep it for the lessons it taught you? To anyone walking through betrayal right now, listen carefully. You will survive this. You don't need closure from the one who hurt you. You need compassion from yourself. Don't rush to fill the silence, learn from it. And when you finally choose peace over pain, you'll realize that losing them was the first step to finding you. If you believe healing is power, tap that subscribe button and stay with us for more true stories of strength, love, and recovery. Comment below what you think